started in '97, so this year will be my 25-year anniversary. Started being a high climber out in the forest, doing wildlife habitat creation. It was through a friend of a friend. I was searching for some work, and they had a tree nursery. And so I started by going over to their tree nursery and repotting all their saplings into bigger containers, which was basically dealing with a big truckload of dirt and a lot of containers and some fertilizer, and repot these saplings. And I got paid 50 cents a tree. And I did thousands of trees, repotted them. And they said that they needed a new guy to go out in the woods and work with them. And we'd be camping out for a week at a time. And I said, that's me, where do I sign up? And I watched that guy climb for about 2 weeks, and then I said, I gotta try it. And so I started climbing. And just went up from there. I really branched out. I mean, it's every little boy's dream, right? Climbing trees and getting paid for it. And it's great. When I was a kid, my mom would come out in the backyard looking for me, and she'd always find me up in the tall tree. Just climbed all the way up to the top, just hanging out up there. Well, after doing this for 25 years, you can imagine there's a lot of stories, but one that stands out to me, and it was a period where I think I was like 3 or 4 years into climbing, doing forestry projects, and I got called out on a red tree vole survey. There's a timber sale happening where they were going to sell off this huge acreage of timber, but before they did, there were old growth timber on there, so they wanted to save some of the old growth trees, because there's a red tree vole, which is like a little mouse that lives up in the top of these old growth trees, main food source for the spotted owl, and they would contract with climbers to go out and survey the nest. And it was my highest climb in this huge old growth Doug fir tree. Probably took me 2 hours to get up to the top, 220 feet, and I found a nest, and I thought I was seeing a red tree vole looking at me, and there's just this little critter in the cavity. And then I heard some scurrying, and right here it was actually a red flying squirrel, and he looked at me and jumped, and I saw him sail down and just fly, and he landed. He was still 100 feet away from me, but he was still 100 feet off the ground. And I actually grabbed the tree and just kind of froze for a second, realizing how high I was. And then I gained my composure, and that was a really cool experience. Not that a lot of humans get that. 220 feet up in an old growth tree, face-to-face connection with a red tree squirrel. And then I rappelled down and went on my way. But that contract right there, I think I did 5 or 6 of those big climbs. And that kind of pushed me over the edge from being a rookie climber to a skilled pro climber. Being up in the top of the tree with a chainsaw, and you know, it's not long. I can't do that in my 60s. So I'm starting to create a new avenue for myself. I'm about 3 years into carving, and I'm thinking that this is the retirement plan. One of the first pieces I really gave my attention to. It was a friend of mine that I've known for 20 plus years had a huge oak tree that we had tried to make the focal point of his property. It was beautiful, and we had trimmed it out, got it all nice and clean, and he had triplet daughters. And so he asked me to hang not 1 but 2 swings in this tree, and those little girls loved that tree and the swing. And then a storm came in and it split and killed the tree, but left a stump about 20 feet or so up. And so I pitched him the idea that we carve a wood spirit on it, bring in some other logs, and build a swing set for them so they still have their swings. And so that was really one of the first pieces that I thought, I'm gonna carve this. And so that was really what kind of prompted me to put more effort into it. Realizing that I was getting better. When I started seeing my own progress from the first owl to owl number 10, I decided that, you know, if I keep going, I'm only gonna get better. I like the story behind it, that this tree was once standing, had to come down, and now it's a mushroom wizard, you know? and it'll live on. All those things are attractive to me. And I like that, creating something out of nothing. I had a Master Gardener Expo that I just took like 16 pieces down and was trying to sell them. And I sold a few pieces, and man, I didn't realize how attached to them I was. It was hard to see them go. I had this wizard that was holding like a crystal ball, and somebody bought him, and I said, you know, I'm gonna have to give you my number. You'll have to let me know how he's doing. You know, they got a rock garden they were gonna put him in. I was like, send me pictures, you know. But yeah, I get attached to them, and you know, I would love to sell these pieces, but I will miss them when they're gone. You know, another thing about my carvings is like bringing some of these critters to my, like, how often can you reach out and touch an owl, you know, and bringing them to people and getting them up close and personal. It's pretty powerful. You know, I started out with chainsaw carving, like any art, like the sky's the limit. You could do anything. But I wanted to focus on some of the typical chainsaw carvings: bears, owls, eagles, and wood spirits. And I wanted to limit myself to those 4 so I could get good at those 4, and then I could branch out from there and start creating more creative stuff. But then there are some, like this guy, I just started going for it. I carved the face, and he became this. You know, I didn't necessarily see it in the wood. I don't know that I really had an intention of doing a morel wizard, but it just happened. Like, so some pieces I created. The other pieces kind of create themselves, if that makes any sense. So instead of going from Danks Tree Care to Danks Tree Carving, I went with Danks Tree Creations, because I'll be creating stuff out of trees. Anywhere from signs to furniture to wall hangings to carvings, and kind of just going down the gamut of tree art. You know, when this tree had to come down, a lot of it just went for firewood and wood chips, but now this piece will live on for a couple generations. You know, all these pieces are getting a second lease on life. The advice I would give to a new carver is just take action. Start doing it. Do it again, do it again. You know, the more you do it with anything, you're gonna get better.